Hello YouTube, and welcome to another video from me, Steve, from Mad About Hoovers. And today we're going to have something very special. Well, it's very special for me, and it's the first one of these that I have bought, brand new, since 2006, when I bought that machine over there, which was the original Dyson ball, the DC-15. Now this one is the 2017 version. This is the all-new machine. This is the replacement for the DC-40 Mark II. And this machine is Dyson's current offering. It's called the Dyson Light Ball, and this is the multi-floor model. Now, a little while ago I did say it'd be a cold day in hell before I bought another brand new Dyson, but unfortunately for me, I just couldn't resist this one. I've seen a couple of reviews done on this on YouTube so far, and quite frankly it's pretty blown me away. From what I've seen of it, how quiet it is, and the performance of it, the brush roll and everything to do with it, it seems to me like Dyson have really improved the latest offerings. When I go back to what we were seeing of the DC-50, where brush rolls were wearing out after 2 or 3 months and carbon fibre filaments all coming off, and the flimsiness of these things, I was very, very sceptical, and I've said this on previous videos about buying a new current Dyson. Now, those two over there, the 07 and the 15, were old Dysons. I bought the DC-15 ball brand new in 2006, and I was very pleased with its performance, and I used that for quite a long time, never had a problem with it. And when there was a problem, they came out and fixed it straight away. But I was put off buying later model Dysons, sort of from the 25, the DC-40, 41, because I always felt that they were very sort of, they weren't as well built as the DC-15, which I thought was a very sturdy cleaner. So there was a video review done by AEG123 and Johnny L8. So there's 2 good reviews on this machine done by those 2 members, and particularly Johnny L8. I mean, he's only got a couple of videos on YouTube, but he did a really good review of this particular machine, the Light Ball Multi-Floor. And at the present time, this machine is currently available as at the 7th of October 2017 in Argos stores. I believe it's also in John Lewis. I don't know about Currys, I haven't checked Currys, but I know that it's in Argos at the moment, and it's selling for just $199.99. So this brand new model is currently on offer for just £200. Now, knowing about the normal price of Dysons, right, especially the fact that the Kinetic Big Ball is currently over £500, the DC-41 Mark II is currently in excess of £400, I had to have this machine at this price. For me to carry on my criticism of Dyson, I need to be able to test out the current machine. I'm going to have this out of here, and I'm going to pull this to pieces, and I'm going to find out, and I'm going to assess this and see what I think about it, to see if what I think about Dysons is founded or not now, to see if they've really improved. We're going to see what this machine is all about. So I'm going to devote this video solely to unboxing this machine. We're going to put it together, and we're going to have a close-up view of the features. And then in another video, which I shall be doing later on today, I will be pushing it round, putting the rice and that down on the carpet. We'll test the agitation ability of it, see if it really does beat the carpet like what I think modern Dysons now do, which the older Dysons didn't used to do. Does this agitate the carpet well? Because, as you know, the EU regulations have now come in saying that machines can be no more than 900 watts. So I believe this is only a 700 watt. I will confirm that when I've got it all set up, what the wattage is, what the power rating is. But as far as I know, these are only very, very, they're not very powerful machines anymore, thanks to the EU. But if it's a good suction, then maybe the EU's directives weren't a bad thing after all. So without further ado, let's start unpacking this machine. Now, doing unboxings is usually Ibasiak or Roger's scene. He normally does the unboxings, but we're not seeing much of Roger these days because he's got his own issues that he needs to sort out, so he's not obviously doing many new machine unboxings. So this is where I'm now stepping in to take this one over, and we're going to see exactly what Dyson's new offering is like. I've not actually seen this in the flesh yet. I've only seen it on reviews and on the screen. I believe it's very similar to the DC40, so we'll see. So first of all, I will leave the camera where it is on the top while I get everything out of the box, and then once it's assembled, I'll bring the camera off and we'll have a closer look. It's very exciting, to be quite honest, having a brand new Dyson here, because as I say, the last time that I did this was over 10 years ago, when I bought that DC15 from Curry's, and at the time that was the first ever ball machine. And I think at the time people were sceptical about buying them because they were seen as a bit of a gimmick back then, because everybody bought the DC14, which was a very, very successful cleaner. Right, that's the box open. Now then, what are we going to do? What are we going to get out first? I believe, from what reviews I've seen so far, that this is the new combination tool, and we'll just have an open of this. Don't worry about you if you can't see it at the moment, because I will bring the camera down and we will have a close look when it's all assembled and stood upright, and I shall focus in on everything. So what we've got here is the upholstery tool, and we have the crevice tool, which from the face of it looks like a nice long crevice tool here, and we have the dusting brush facility on there, and that actually, from what I've seen so far, stores on top of the crevice tool on the side of the machine, and we'll see how that works in a bit. So I'll just put that down there. What else have we got here? Ah yes, the instruction book. Right, the instruction book. We've got the EU energy ratings label, which gives it an A rating for energy. It's not one of these A+++ machines, it's just solely an A, and again I will go into that in a little bit. Right, here we have the wand, which, as I suspected, is a plastic affair. It's not an aluminium wand, as it was on the DC15. Dysons nowadays use plastic everything. Now, one of the reasons why they do that is because it keeps the weight down. This is advertised as being the light ball, so it's actually listed as being 6.9 kilos. Fully assembled, 6.9 kilos. So that is actually, it's not the lightest, because I have had Vaxes which have been just 5 kilos before. So this is just under 7 kilos, this machine. So it's not the smallest one, because the DC50 is advertised as the smallest and lightest Dyson. Now what have we got? This looks like the floor head. Now this I was very, very interested in when I saw reviews of this. This floor head is an all-new design. It's very similar to the DC50. It's called the epicyclic drive, from what I've understood, and it's actually quite a heavy floor head. This is so. Yeah. Now this doesn't use the carbon fibre filaments. The carbon fibre filaments were what they were having trouble with on the DC50, with the black bristles all wearing away and snapping off the brush roll. This only has the red bristles, and they are stiff bristles, and they seem to be quite thick. So I don't think, well, I'm hoping that This machine won't have the same issues that the DC50 had, where the bristles on the brush roll were all wearing away very quickly. But Dyson would have replaced those brush roll heads, and they'd have learned from that issue. So hopefully on these more recent machines that shouldn't be an issue anymore. Right, so that's the floor head, and again we will go into more details with that when it's assembled. We're having a really close look at it. This is just solely the unboxing at the moment. We're getting everything out of the box. What else have we got in here? Now that is that's the tool storage clip. That goes at the back of the spine, and the multi-tool fits on there. And from what I understand is that the multi-tool fits all in one. So it's like the old DC01 where the stair tool fitted on top of all the other tools. From the two reviews I've seen, people aren't very keen on that and saying, you know, they'd rather the tools were separated, but you know, I don't really see that as being that much of a problem at the moment. Now, that's the two pieces of packing here. Here we go. Need to lift this out. The actual, whoops, just be careful here that we don't drop it everywhere. Put that down on the floor and put the box to one side. There's nothing else left in the box. I'll have a closer up on the box in a bit as well so we can see the box. Okay, so this is the actual main unit here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to move the packaging here. Yeah, it's when you compare this to the DC15, which is over there, this is a much smaller. It's a much smaller canister, and I would imagine that you would have to empty this a lot more often. But in a house such as mine, which is relatively small, and because I do vacuuming very regularly, usually every day, then that wouldn't be an issue for me. But I would imagine that for big families who do a lot of, who've got a lot of members in the family, who've got a big house and don't do vacuuming that often, I would imagine that that would have to be emptied quite a few times during a vacuuming session. And that has been the criticism of a lot of Bagless machines, is that the canisters are on the small side. But if you want lightweight, you need to have compactness. One of the biggest criticisms of the DC15 was that it was heavy, really heavy. And I wouldn't argue with that. It was a heavy and bulky machine, but I still got on okay with it. A lot of women didn't. They thought it was too big. Right, so there we go with the cable, and I believe the cable on this is not far off being 10 metres long, so it's actually got a very long power cable. Let's just put that back in here. Okay. Yeah, it's very compact. Very compact indeed. Let's see, let's just take that packaging off there. And there's the hose just dropping down off the back. Now I don't usually refer to instructions when I'm putting machines together. I usually do it from, I'm usually pretty good with putting machines together. I've assembled an awful lot of machines in the past, and I've assembled a lot of Dysons as well, so I think we'll be able to cope with this without reading the instructions, unless I get really stuck, of course. So here we have the ball. Now it's not a ball in the sense of the word, compared to the DC15, which had a proper ball on. This is just basically two large wheels which take the form of a ball, and the motor's inside, much as it was on the DC15. But with this one you don't have all of the pipe work on the side, as you did with that. I mean, that was very bulky sideways. This one, it's very, it's going to be very agile, very nimble, I would have said. so we can put our dust collection on the side of here. It does still feel a little bit flexible on the top here, but from what I've been told by I don't know whether it's George or Michael, I think it might be George, AEG123 did a review on this and said it seemed to be a little bit stiffer on the handle. Once you put the hose and everything in, it does stiffen up. And this plastic is more like a polypropylene type of plastic rather than ABS, so it isn't going to be brittle in years to come, rather like the DC07 over there, which was made of ABS. So that didn't flex very much, but it became very brittle, which was another problem basically, because they used to keep snapping. Right, okay. Now, from what I've understood, all we have to do with this floor head basically is just to slide it on from the bottom. Let's just have a quick look here. And it's supposed to click into place. There we go. Well, that was nice and easy. There's like a little release clip underneath, and again I will go into this in closer detail once we've got it put together. Because what I want to do first is to put it together and make sure that it comes on. I want to make sure I've got a working machine, because if it doesn't work I've got to rebox it and take it back to Argos. I need to make sure everything's here, it's all complete, and it actually comes on and works. So let's put the hose in, and I believe, yes, it's a different type of hose to what I'm used to. Oh yeah, that is, let's just have a quick look here. Yeah, it does seem stiffer on the handle now than what it used to be. This was very, very pliable before on the DC40 and 41. This particularly on the DC50, the handle it used to flex an awful lot here, and you felt like it was just very flimsy. Whilst this does flex a little bit, I don't think it flexes anywhere near what the other ones used to do, so I think they have actually strengthened this handle up. Once you've got the hose in here and the rod, it does appear that gives it more stiffness in the handle, so you can go from side to side with it like you're supposed to do and not feel the whole of the back of the spine flexing. Yeah, I'm happier with that. That's a lot better. Right, so let's just quickly plug it in. I'm not going to run it for long because I'm going to do a separate video on how it performs on the carpet. And I'm going to push it in there and go on the hard floor with it as well. Because in my kitchen and bathroom I have lino that's down there, but it's not stuck down. And a lot of problems I have with some of these Bagless cleaners which can't adjust the suction, in that it lifts the lino straight up to the floor head and clamps it hard down and you can't push the thing along. And I'm going to be interested to see if I have the same problem with this, because one of the features of this machine is that it's got an air bleed valve on the front of the floor head, which enables it to reduce the suction for using on hard floors. It's also got dedicated large debris channels in the front as well, which is another good selling point, in that it's not supposed to snow plough when you're using it on hard floors. If you've got spillage of items on the floor, that it's supposed to draw those into the front without snow ploughing. And I'll be very interested to see how that works as well. So let's just first of all see if it comes on. Right, nothing so far, so I'm assuming it must be turned off. Yeah, it works. That works on the floor head spins as well, so there we go. That's a working model. I'm pleased about that. And my first impressions there were that is extremely quiet. Now, I did a demonstration of the old DC07 yesterday, which is on my channel. This machine here was the noisiest machine that Dyson ever made, right? This was ear-splittingly loud. Having just heard that running there, I can safely say that that is a fantastic sounding machine. It's very, very good. No bagless machine is ever going to be as quiet, in my opinion, as a bagged machine. Bagged machines have always been my preference over bagless. But where bagless is concerned, I've had a lot of bad machines from Vax. There has been reviews on my channel of various Vax machines, and I thought they were pretty good, but after using them for a while, I've had issues with them. That's not to say that Dyson doesn't have their issues, but Dyson do tend to stand by the products, and if there is an issue, they will sort it out. They will sort it out. Remember when I first had that 15, there was an issue with the micro switch on the back, in that the brush roll was always going round when it should have been turning itself off. When you stood it upright, the brush roll carried on going round, and I rang up and the Dyson engineer came out and fixed it for me straight away. So you know that they will stand by the products, I will say that about them. So let's bring the camera down in a short while. First of all I want to do is just to put on the... Well, I'll tell you what, let's bring the camera down and we'll focus in on it. And I'll show us how to put the... So here we go. This is the all-new Dyson DC. No, it isn't a DC. I don't know what the DC number of this is, to be quite honest. It's just called the light ball, and they seem to be doing this now with their current machines, is not calling them DC numbers anymore. And I always thought that was rather strange anyway, because there haven't really been DC models ever since the DC-07, because they're not dual cyclone. DC stood for dual cyclone at the end of the day. So on the base of it, it looks very, very similar to the DC-40. Now, I haven't got a DC-40, but I've seen them in shops and I've seen a lot of reviews done on the DC-40. It was a long-running machine. So here we can see the dust canister, and one of the most striking things about this, and I actually do like this, is that they have now started making the cyclone assembly the same colour all the way down, rather than just having the top in a nice colour and the middle part as all being dark grey. They've started doing what they used to do on the old DC-07 by having the entire of the shroud in the same colour as the cyclone assembly, and you can see that here, and I think that's a really good idea. But eventually, as on most Dysons, they'll go cloudy on the bin, and you won't be able to see that as well, but I still like that. That's a really, really pretty looking machine. Got a nice blue colour on the top here, and this brush roll, I mean, once this starts to get dirty and it starts to be being used, I would imagine that this will start to get very dirty inside here, but I would imagine that it will be fairly easy to clean. So what we're going to do is these tool holder that came supplied with it here, this basically clips on the side just here. You've got like a little housing here that you clip this on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the dustbin simply by unclipping it and removing it, and then I'm going to slide on the there we go. So that's just clipped on like so, and that will enable us to store our tool on the side. Now on the DC-40, the previous model, it had very similar type of crevice tool and dusting brush built into one. What it had as well was a separate storage place here for the upholstery tool. But this machine doesn't use that. It goes on the top, like so. I don't mind that. I think that's pretty okay, as long as it doesn't drop off in use. There we've got the suction port, which basically draws the suction in from the bottom of the canister, much like on the old DC-40. You've got, as on the DC-40, it has the internal filter, which is the sock filter, which is here. And then you can see down the canister there, that goes right out the bottom and into the machine. And what Dyson say is that you need to wash this every month, apparently. So it seems to be a lot more often than when you think the DC-07 used to be every 6 months. This is now every 1 month. which I don't think is a bad idea, because it'll mean that people check them more regularly, because they're tended to get forgotten about on them. So there's your filter, and as I say, the bin opens, or supposed to open, by pushing the lever down. And again, with it being a new machine, it's quite stiff, so I think we just have to give it a bit of a helping hand to drop open. There we go. So that's how the bin empties. And you've got a little blockage port here, which doesn't hinge open apparently on this. It's got a screw, and there we can see the screw. So I think, yeah, this inspection port, you can't just open it. You need to have a special screwdriver to open that, which is unusual for Dyson, because normally you're able to open these quite easily. But it's there if you need it. Here we go, here's the stock label on the back. So it's 6.9 kilos, and it is 700, looks like 700 watts that does. So it's a very, very low energy machine, as you'd expect for the new EU regulations. Here's the floor head, and again I'm going to be going into all this in much better detail on the next video, when I'm going to do a review and demonstration. This really is the unboxing and first look at the machine. Okay, so we're basically just having a look at the filter, and I believe the other one's inside here, and I will be closer looking at that on the next video. Okay, so my first impressions of this machine are very good. I like it. I think it's nice and compact. I think that the top doesn't tend... It bends slightly, but I don't think, having tried some of these machines in Currys before, they don't seem to flex as much. I think Dyson does seem to have improved that. We're never, I don't think, going to have the sort of sturdiness of the DC07 again, because then I can't see them going back to using ABS. But there is the new light ball. It's currently on sale in Argos for £199.99, and I went out and bought one this morning. They are selling quickly, I will say. I wanted to reserve it online, but they made me pay for it there and then. Usually you can reserve it and go and pay for it in store, but they said because they're selling fast, they wanted to pay for it there and then online, so that's what I had to do. Here's the box. Let's just bring this into the front again and have a quick look at the box. So we've got the Dyson Light Ball Multi-Floor. No other upright vacuum cleans better across carpet and hard floors. It's light to carry and manoeuvre, and there it is there. Radial root cyclone technology, which is not new technology, but I prefer this over the kinetic. I prefer a machine to have a pre-motor filter. I don't like the kinetic ones where you've got no pre-motor and it dirties the exhaust. There's the ball there, it's ball technology again. This is the new technology here, which first featured on the DC50, where the brush roll motor's inside the brush roll. So it's quite quiet. And it's called the epicyclic drive technology. It's a direct drive cleaner head, drives bristles deep into carpets, and seals in suction to remove grounding dirt with extra suction control for all floor types. And there we can see the lady there carrying it up and down the stairs. The usual Dyson sort of style of box. Support from Dyson experts, repairs at your home or work, genuine Dyson parts and labour. I believe this has got a 2-year warranty. It said 5 years on the Argos site, and then underneath it, the Dyson part below said it was 2 years. So I've got to find out about that, about what exactly the warranty on it is. The energy label here says it's an A for energy, A for exhaust, C for carpets, and C for hard floors. So according to that, it's not that wonderful, but we'll be trying it out later on. So there we go. And I'll also be going into this floor head in more detail as well, all about its features and how you can remove the brush roll, because I think this is a very good floor head. So we'll end this video here. That's the unboxing. That's the initial first look. And I shall be going into more detail with it very shortly. And you can expect another video to be uploaded very soon, probably later today. So from me,